Greetings once again. My name's Ollie, and here's your loaf of daily bread. Today's loaf comes to us courtesy of my very first teacher, Joseph Campbell. And he says the following: "The mind of man, cleansed of secondary and merely temporal concerns, beholds, with the radiance of a cleansed mirror, a reflection of the rational mind of God. Reason puts you in touch with God." What I think Campbell is saying here is that when we rid ourselves of temporal concerns that relate to the material world, if you will, concerns like money, reputation, what do people think of me, etc., and so on. When we get rid of these secondary concerns, the mind becomes like a polished mirror. Does that sound familiar? A couple videos ago, I shared a very similar quote from Zhuangzi. He said that the mind of the sage is like a mirror, not welcoming anything, not pursuing anything, simply reflecting without holding on to the thing that is being reflected. Now here I get a similar sense from Joseph Campbell. I feel like these two quotes are connected somehow. And not just because we're talking about mirrors in both instances. But whereas Zhuangzi comes at it from the perspective of having a still mind, a silent mind, Campbell is telling us that it is reason that puts us in touch with the mind of God, that when we clear the mind of arbitrary and ultimately irrelevant concerns, we behold a little bit of the pattern or the design or the mind of God. Now, I hope I don't have to tell you what I understand this to mean. I've talked about my concept of God many, many times in the past, and if you haven't heard me, I'll just tell you real quick. I'm not talking about an invisible sky daddy. Never have and never will. When I talk about God, I think more along the lines of the logos, the cosmic mind that moves all of the material pieces that belong to it. And these material pieces constitute the entire universe. Behind your body, there is an immaterial mind pulling the strings. Well, the universe is no different. The physical, material universe with all its stars and planets and black holes constitutes the body of God. And behind the body, there is a mind. We can call it nature. We can call it Dharma, which is the Sanskrit version of the Tao. Everything has its own Dharma, just like everything has its own Tao, its own way, its own law, the way that it operates. But all of these things are connected to the greater law, the greater way, the greater Dharma. And that, to me, is what Campbell is talking about. Whether you approach it from a mystical, intuitive point of view, and you try to silence the mind through meditation and fasting, or whether you pursue the path of reason and logic, and you start to examine everything using the scientific method, you will arrive at the same conclusion. You will have the same experience. You will behold the radiance of this divine will, this consciousness that permeates everything. There's no way around it, my friends. No matter which path you pursue, whether you go with the logic and reason of the Stoics or the no mind of the Taoist and Zen traditions, if you pursue either of these paths long enough, you will arrive at the same destination. And hey, just to tie it all together with a little bit of Bhagavad Gita action, that's what Krishna tells Arjuna. He says the path of action and the path of wisdom are one and the same. And the person who follows one path will reap the benefits of both because they lead us toward the same destination. Reason puts you in touch with God, or at least reason can put you in touch with God. But don't get confused. You can take the opposite approach. You can throw reason to the wind, and you can simply experience the world without adding anything to it. And this too will put you in touch with God. So the good news is, no matter which direction you take, my friends, you will get to the realization, to the experience of unity, to the knowledge of your true nature and your true self. It doesn't matter if you take the path of reason or the path of intuition. It doesn't matter if you do it through psychology or theology. If you move in one of two directions long enough, you will eventually arrive at the destination regardless. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, as long as you're moving, you're going to get there. The worst thing you can do is to sit still. Not in the physical sense of the word, of course, but in the mental, spiritual, or psychological sense. To sit still, to stop seeking, to assume that you know what you can't possibly know. Keep questioning your beliefs. Keep expanding your horizons, and you'll see. I won't have to convince you, because you will convince yourself. And until you do, I hope you'll return to this channel for more rants, courtesy of Ollie. Well, looks like the well's gone dry. I got nothing else to say. I've probably already said too much, so I'll leave it at that. And I will say farewell and live well.